Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching episode 1 of season 3 of the Mandalorian, and it's back. It's finally back. We've been waiting for the show to return for so long. I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into spoilers because, you know, I assume you've watched it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. The episode's roughly 32 minutes long, which that's fine for me. I know a lot of people were like, why isn't it an hour? I don't know, guys. That's not how stories work. They don't decide, like, I want it to be an hour long and then start writing the story. Like, that's just not how that works, guys. They write the story and then they edit it and they, you know what I mean? So anyways, whatever. It's 32 minutes long, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. They do a lot of recapping of kind of what happened in the Book of Boba Fett and what happened at the end of season 2, sort of to refresh everybody. So they, you know, we visit Bo-Katan, we visit the Mandalorians that he's from, we visit Greef Karga, you know, we get a little bit of an update from everyone, and then we also set up kind of what's the main goal here, right? Like what's happening next episodes and all that stuff. So it's a good first episode is what I'm saying. They establish a lot, they recap a lot, but it doesn't feel like they're just kind of blurting out exposition of like, in case you didn't watch this show, here's what happened. You know, it feels very natural. It feels like, yeah, Din would revisit these people before he goes and does this thing. He would try to look for help here. He would try to look for help there. It makes sense, is what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like they're like, damn it, we have to recap everyone. It's like, no, it made sense that all this happened. So first, of course, he saves the Mandalorians during this ritual that they're doing where they induct new foundlings into their ways, where they, you know, don't ever take off this helmet, which of course is what Din's in trouble for, right? And I love that they did this because it's sort of, you know, it what's the word? it puts a exclamation mark. I don't know how, I'm probably saying this wrong. Basically, it shows how, like, from that young of an age, you're told never take off this helmet in a very ritualistic manner. And because he did that in front of Grogu, now he's in trouble. And that's, you know, that's their way of basically just communicating how serious this is supposed to be to his group of Mandalorians and why he feels he has to go and do this, right? Which, of course, I think we all hope that, like, eventually Din's just like, you know what, screw this. I don't need to, like, prove myself to you people, right? Like, we can... These people over here say they're Mandalorians and they're taking their helmets off all the time, so can we just get over this thing, right? Like, can we just move on with our lives? You know, I'm hoping eventually something like that happens, but for right now, it's very important to Din, because from that young of an age, he was told, don't ever take this thing off. So of course he saves them from this giant beast, which definitely, you know, call back to, you know, first episode of season 2 with the Krayt Dragon, so that was pretty cool. And of course, he's got the N1 starfighter now, right? So like something like that, just like one little torpedo, the thing's gone, you know? And basically just, yeah, he comes up with like this little crystallized piece, and they talk about how Mandalore is poisoned, it's impossible to go there, it's all just a ruin and there's no taking it back, it's done forever. And this is all just recapping stuff that we've heard before. We saw that big flashback in Book of Boba Fett where the Empire had basically nuked the entire planet, right? Very Terminator-esque. Speaking of which, we get another Terminator callback, which is really funny that they did this, but yeah, just like that callback where we saw the Empire attacking Mandalore, he then goes to Greef Karga where he says like, oh, I want IG-11 back because I need help. I need someone to help me take back Mandalore, or at least like explore this place. It might be poisoned. I'm just gonna need some backup. You know, I'm all by myself, which is me and Grogu, right? And so he tries to get IG-11 back, where they use the Anzellans, who, you know, of course, Babu Frick. Now, are any of these actually Babu Frick? They don't give us a name. They don't say anyone's name. It's possible that one of them was. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. So, yeah, sure, it's possible. I'll just say one of them was Babu Frick. We don't actually know that, but I'm just going to say that. And they essentially tell him, hey, IG-11 is beyond repair because his memory core is like gone. It's completely destroyed. And so when they reactivate him, of course, we get our big Terminator callback where he's now been set to default programming and he wants to destroy or terminate Grogu, right? Which to me was always just kind of a confusing thing because, you know, they were sent to go find Grogu and take them back to the Empire. Like, that was the big bounty in the first episode, right? But he was insistent on killing Grogu, which I never really understood, because wouldn't that not work for what the Empire wanted? So who sent him to kill, right? Like, wouldn't the whole point be like, no, take him back to the Empire because they want his blood, right? Like, wasn't that the whole idea? I don't know. To me, that part never made any sense. But anyways, he's set to default, and he's only like the upper torso, so he's crawling very much like the Terminator. So it's just pretty funny. We're getting a lot of Terminator callbacks with this show recently, so that's pretty funny. Anyways, so that's definitely gonna come back, and again, this episode's like setting up a lot of stuff. So at some point, we're gonna somehow get IG-11 back. There have been some rumors as to how that might happen, and I don't know how people would feel if those rumors are true, but we're not going to go into that right now. But yeah, IG-11 is going to come back in some form, some way. That much seems obvious, right? They wouldn't have done this for no reason. And then he leaves, right? And they do kind of briefly go over the whole Cara Dune situation, which I kind of figured maybe they wouldn't even talk about, but they bring her up, basically saying that, oh, she was recruited by special forces, so she's gone. She's doing New Republic stuff, and Grief Karga wants, he needs a lawman. He needs muscle there to help fight off these pirates that have shown up, and they're like, this place used to be a bar, and he's like, well, it's a school now, so back off. Basically just. Grief Karga's shady past, is still kind of gonna inflict the nice place that he's managed to build here, right? Like there's a lot of citizens and happy people, not a lot of bounty hunters and pirates and stuff like there used to be. But of course, that doesn't mean all that magically disappears, right? So his old business partners are still gonna show up. In any case, so they have to chase off these pirates, and that ends up becoming a big space ship chase later on in the episode that Din Djarin manages to escape from. Also they do mention how Grief Karga doesn't want to bow down to another group of bureaucrats, which is why they're not just like working with the New Republic and asking for another lawman, right? Which makes sense, right? It's just kind of maintaining that same idea they had way back in like episode 1 of the first season, where it's like, yeah, New Republic, whatever, who cares? We're way out here in the Outer Rim. None of that stuff affects us, and it's just kind of that idea of like, yeah, the good guys won in the original trilogy. They got rid of the Empire, but like, you're trying to establish an entire new government, and not everyone's going to be down with this. Like some people are just out there. They're so far away that it's like, okay, you can have all your senators and all your whatever you got over there, right? Your whole military, but this is the Wild West. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna obey our own laws and our own rules, and we're not even part of your republic. Who says we have to be? So it's just interesting that there's still that mindset, of course, because for us, we're like, no, the New Republic are the good guys, and maybe they are, but it is just like, we're out in the outskirts, you know what I mean? Like we're not part of your government. We're not going to obey your laws. We're not part of that. We're an independent thing. We're doing our own stuff, and that's what Grief Karga wants. So anyways, it's just, I love it when we get a little taste of that. But yeah, so he leaves, and of course Din Djarin's getting chased by the pirates, and they show a big pirate ship, and then we get like this Swamp Thing looking captain pirate, so I'm sure all that's going to come back later, but he manages to escape from there. So this first episode is introducing a lot of things, it's just like, okay, this pirate's going to be important. IG-11's probably going to come back at some point, like everyone's being introduced here, and then we visit Bo-Katan again, and Bo-Katan, of course, is she's mad. Bo-Katan mad. She is not happy with the fact that she didn't get the Darksaber, and basically all the forces that she manages to rally to try and take back Mandalore and try to build everything back up again, it basically disappeared the second that she didn't have the Darksaber, right? Which kind of tells you more about the Mandalorian people, even outside of Din's group, of how like everyone obeys traditions and rituals, and the symbology is very important to the Mandalorian people. So like, you got to have your helmet on for this group, you got to have the Darksaber for these other groups. It's like it all matters, you know. Like all these like ritualistic traditional things matter to this group of people. That's just how they are, you know. So like Bo-Katan could lead these people, and she could probably reclaim Mandalore tomorrow, but because she didn't get the Darksaber, it's like no, you know. And so of course she's really pissed off about that, and you can tell there's going to be some kind of conflict later, because Din's like, hey, I'm here to help. Let's go retake Mandalore. That's what I'm trying to do, you know, or at least I'm just trying to visit Mandalore, you know. So let's do this. But she's like, whatever, man, get out of here. I don't care anymore. The place is poisoned. You're gonna probably die trying to visit there, so whatever. And we're gonna see what Mandalore's like, because that's essentially where the episode ends. Now, is it gonna be as poisoned as everyone thinks it is? Probably not, right? Because that's just something we keep on hearing throughout this. We even heard that back in season 2, I think, about like, you know, the whole planet is glass. It's all crystallized, you know. So yeah, just this was a really good episode of like setting up what's happening later in the season and reminding everyone like why he's doing this and where everyone else is at in the show. And yeah, they just did a really good job of like setting everything up here. So we're probably gonna get IG-11 back, and we're gonna have to deal with those pirates later, and Bo-Katan and Din are gonna have some kind of conflict. There's gonna be some sort of little civil war spat type thing. She wants the Darksaber. He doesn't really care about leading. He just wants to, you know, he wants to redeem himself to his own cult. But of course, he's probably gonna learn some things about being a Mandalorian, and he's gonna be like, you know what, this whole cult thing, it's bigger than that, you know. Like they're just one faction of Mandalorians to a whole group of things. But you know, that's probably gonna take some time to learn on his end, because of course, like we saw with the foundling at the beginning of the episode, it's like he was told all this as a kid, you know. like it's that kind of conditioning at a young age that like that's gonna be hard to get over, you know. Like it's gonna take some time for him to like get over everything that he's been told his entire life of like, don't take this helmet off, this is the way, you know. So yeah, this is a pretty good episode, and I'm excited about where they're going. Now, of course, I still have the Bad Batch to watch, and that's going to be a whole review on its own. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.